This is the T-Post. Fast horses, real life, and oversharing like it's our job. That's Peyton.
And that's Jessie. Grab a drink and maybe a helmet. It's going to get bumpy.
All right, so we had a little bit more technical difficulties, unfortunately. So first of all, my horse story is very long. I had posted on my Snapchat that it was like 21 years of horse history, which I have been riding that long. However, my story goes back to way before I actually started riding. So it's really like, so I'm 28. It would probably be like 25 or 24 years of my life we're kind of going over, and just the horse aspect, and then I go over a few like brief life things because it changed things with horses. There's a part of me that wants to apologize that this is so long, but also I feel like all these experiences are just what made me me, and also it's just a very summed up version of some highlight and low light reels, I guess, of things that I feel like shaped me in a certain way, or memories, or funny stories, or whatever it may be. So as much as I have cut this down already to be a little more condensed, I can't really cut it down anymore without you not getting a full enough picture, I guess. So because of the technical difficulties, there is some video that the audio either didn't come through or didn't transfer. And with our current setup, it takes so long to transfer the video from my camera to my iPad. Yes, this is not an ideal setup. We are starting out on a very small budget and just using what we have, and that's okay. So I'm actually just recording this on my phone because tonight is drop night. Today is Wednesday. Tonight is drop night, and this has to be up at midnight, and it is almost 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I have all of the podcasts edited, and it's going to be episode 2 was Peyton and her interview, and that was part 1 because it's our horse history. Part 2 is going to be my horse history, but because my horse history is so long and I have so many crazy stories, and again, it is condensed, believe it or not. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but there's just some things I can't leave out. There's going to be a part 3 too. So part 2 is going to be posted tonight. Fingers crossed everything goes well. And part 3 will be posted next Wednesday night, Thursday morning, midnight, whatever you want to consider it. So you're going to see me pop in here because we had some technical difficulties where audio didn't transfer with the video, or something might have happened with our mics. I'm not sure. I'm not trying to screw around with it, trying to upload it again because it's just so slow and I don't have time. So you'll see me pop in here from time to time in this exact setup where I fill in the parts that were missed because we didn't either have audio or something happened to the file. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this. And if you have memories that I'm forgetting, for sure, drop them in the comments or let me know. I know there's some crazy ones that I don't necessarily go over because it's not just my story, it's someone else's story as well. I hope you guys enjoy this. It's a lot of me talking, very little of Peyton, but I have a long story. So hope you guys enjoy it. And there also is, I want to pre-apologize, 2 or 3 small sections where something happened to my mic, where it cut out, and you can still hear me, and I did try to adjust the audio, but there really wasn't anything I could do where I cut out for a little bit. You can hear me, but it's just not as loud. But it's literally just for seconds at a time. So apologizing for that. Again, this is a learning curve for us. And we are doing our best and we're improving each time. So hopefully soon we can get better equipment and have less technical difficulties and things can be smooth sailing. But until then, we're using what we have. So I hope you enjoy it. And here we go. This is technically episode 3, but it's really episode 2, part 2, because we wanted to interview each other and we knew that we were not going to be able to pack it all into one episode because
Definitely.
certified yeppas.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mostly you.
I'm
But...
the president of Yap
El
Islands.
Presidente.
Anyways, so Peyton is gonna interview me today about my like horsey history, and I'm gonna try really hard to keep this short because I feel like I've been trying to think of like random things I wanted to say because I have so many crazy stories. And I'm like, what are the highlight reels or like the low light reels? Because there's just so many. There's just so much.
So if you want to jump into how you got into horses and
Yeah.
just kind of hop on the timeline, basically.
Yeah. So, well, I don't come from a horsey family either. There is some history of like my aunts had horses for a while, and actually, my one aunt, she did barrel race like locally. I don't really know to like what level. Like I don't even know if it was like MBHA or anything. I don't even know if MBHA was around then. I actually don't think so, but she did, and then life happened and she stopped. But she still loves horses and whatever. She doesn't have any though. And then my other aunt just had them for fun for a while. But I mean, they were all out of horses before I can have any memory of them having horses.
Okay.
And then my dad rode a little bit when he was younger. They had friends or neighbors or something that had horses. And there's kind of a funny story of like, also, Dad, if you're watching or listening, if I say this wrong, you'll have to correct me. But I remember there's a story of him riding this horse. And I want to say it was off the racetrack, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And he said he loved the horse, like was fine, but if someone tried to like race it with like another horse or a car, like you couldn't stop it. It would just so I knew what a horse was. I'm sure I had like I have faint memories of going to fairs and having pony rides where they go around in circles, which I don't think is very humane, but we're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that today. But yeah, we lived in town, and my aunt actually bred Great Danes, and we had one of her first Great Danes when she was kind of retired from like the breeding show life situation, and her and I were besties. Like, if I could keep one animal alive, it would have been Tilly. She was awesome. Well, I had watched a movie, and at the time, I didn't know what movie or show it was. I learned about it. I I talked to my dad about this a couple years ago, and I learned what it was, and I'll get into that. I didn't have any memory up until 2 years ago, and I still don't have a memory of what show or movie I had watched that made me just decide I'm a horse girl. I want to do this. I want to ride a horse. But I remember I watched something and I was like 3 or 4 and my dad was making his bed and I was in there and I got the idea to take our Great Dane Tilly and line her up on the bed and I climbed on her because I was going to try to ride her because she was big. She was a Great Dane. And I remember I don't have any balance. So I like slid and I tried holding on to her collar, but of course that's like loose. So I just like slid with me and I fell and I was like a very, I don't want to say fragile kid, but I would cry very easily if I got hurt. And I didn't even cry. And my dad came running up to me from what I remember and was like all concerned. And I was like, no, I'm okay. And I remember him being like shocked because he was expecting I was going to cry. Because I remember hitting the ground hard, but I just did not care because I was like, oh my God, I rode my dog, even though it was literally for like 2 or 3 steps. And Tilly was a saint. I should not have been doing that, but she was a saint and did not care. She did not care. And So I went to go do it again, and my dad's like, Jesse, you cannot ride the dog. That's not okay. So I remember being kind of sad about that, but I didn't try it anymore from what I have memory of. But then ever since then, I was like 3 or 4. I remember being like, I want to ride horses. I want to ride horses. I want to ride horses. I did find out 2 years ago, because I retold this story to my dad, that the movie that I watched was Spirit. And it's so funny because I didn't have any memory of what movie or show it was. I just knew I watched something on TV and I was like, I ride horses now. Like, this is it. This is my gateway drug. Game over. I know what I want to do. And it's funny because I always had said, like, my dream horse is a really chocolatey buckskin. And, well, one of my horses now is a gorgeous buckskin. She's really dark colored and she gets chocolatey spring and fall, like dapples all over. Gorgeous. And it's just kind of funny because I'm sure that was because of Spirit. Like, somewhere it embedded this thought that, like, I needed a buckskin. I also have always loved a paint horse. Go figure, that's in the movie too. And a palomino. I haven't had a palomino yet, but that's on the list. So that's kind of how it started, was literally me watching the movie Spirit and then trying to ride my dog, my Great Dane. And then that leads into our next section. So we did this whole hold down situation for, like, raising money for the gymnastics program. And we had gone up to Highway 45 riding stables where they do trail rides, because she was going to donate, like, I think trail rides or something to be raffled off. And I ended up getting a pony ride on this black mare named Ripley, I'm pretty sure. And I remember being kind of scared because she was so tall. But she was fine. I got that little horse ride. That, like, made, like, hook, line, and sinkered me. Like, I'd wanted to, but I was like, even though I was scared, I was like, I have to. Also, before this, me and my cousins used to watch Spirit all the time before I realized Spirit was, like, my gateway drug. We used to watch Saddle Club. Oh my god, we used to watch Saddle Club, and we used to, like, go out and ride our bikes all around out in the country at their house. Pretend our bikes were the horses and borderline physically fight over who was who on the show. Like,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
Stevie. No, you're not. You're Lisa. This is Starlight. Like, we would fight.
Oh my gosh.
We would get, and I remember I always got so pissed because I always wanted to be Stevie, and everyone else got to be Stevie. And I was like, no. Anyways, so I'd watch a lot of Saddle Club, and I will say with Saddle Club, with it being English riding, they do teach a lot of things on there that is, like, actually correct, like heels down. Like,
I never watched it.
yeah, it's a fun little kid show, but, like, the basic, like, position you should be in to ride, and I absorbed it all like a sponge. After riding this horse, when we went to go get stuff for the fundraiser, that, like, really made me like, okay, like, the lady said we should come back, we could do a trail ride, like, she could tell how much I liked it. And then we ended up going, and then we did, like, with my mom, my dad, my sister, and my brother and his girlfriend, I think, went. I think we all went together, and I was on this little pony named Buffy, and she's showing me how to do stuff with Buffy, and I already knew how to do all of it because I watched Saddle Club. Like, just to sit on a horse, like, I had my heels down, and I had been in gymnastics since the time I was 3, so I had really, like, good, like, leg strength and core strength and posture. And a lot of times newbies, when they ride horses, they'll grab the reins like this, not like this, and, like, she's teaching me how to ride Buffy, and she told my mom, she's like, you're telling me she's never, like, really rode before, like, pony rides, hopped on a horse, whatever. I've done, like, the random ones at, like, fairs and stuff where you just go around on those poor ponies. But I've never, like, rode a horse on my own, and she had planned, I think, to, like, lead line pony me, and she's like, she doesn't even need to.
Yeah.
Like, I also was on a really old POA pony, so it's not like she was gonna do a whole lot. But it was really funny because she was really old and slow, and everyone's on these big horses, and I'm on this, like, itty bitty, like, maybe 12 hand or 13 hand. Maybe she was like 13 hand POA pony, but I don't think she was quite 14 hands. Also, I think Abby Pendergast was there. So Abby, if I'm wrong, you would know. Abby would know, or Natasha Lure if you're listening. I don't know if I should be name dropping. Yeah, we go on this ride. Buffy is walking, like, super slow, and everyone. I noticed that she'd walk really slow compared to all these big horses, and she would, like, trot to catch up. And so then all of a sudden I realized what was going on. I was like, this is so fun. I don't know how to ride. I'm stiff legging it. like just stiff legging it to make sure I had pressure on my steps, but I literally probably was like this, and I would just go forward with the reins so I didn't fall off. And I just thought it was the most fun. Well, then I was like, I bet I could like pull her up and make her walk even slower, and then she'll like lope. So I literally did that the entire trail ride.
Oh my god.
And by the time we got to a point where she's like, you guys want to like trot and lope a little bit, I was like ready for it because I was like, she's gonna run while everyone else is loping. I'd been training myself the whole time and no one even knew because I was in the back. I was literally in the back doing the whole. I'm like just trying to make this pony run.
Nobody's even paying attention to me.
Yeah. I think she figured like the pony was probably safe enough, and I knew how to control her enough that I could, like, I would be okay, and the pony wasn't gonna get spooked or take off or anything. And I literally didn't even know how to ride, but I didn't even care. I'd just be flapping around that poor pony's back, and I was just making her run the entire time because I was like, I like this. This is so much fun. So anyway, I rode there for a while. That turned into lessons because she like convinced my parents, and she brought it up. I was like, yes. I didn't let my parents get out of it. So then I started lessons. And then I was there all the time, and me having like doing lessons turned into like I'd go there for a lesson and end up either like not having to pay for a lesson or like working off my like I wouldn't have to pay a lesson because I would end up. I got to a point where I was more helpful for like these big organized rides that she would do with like people who wanted to come by or whatever with like their family, like what we did.
Yeah.
And so instead of having me do a lesson, she'd like do like lessons with us more advanced girls or whatever in the morning once I got to that point. And then I would like work off my lesson by like literally just like doing whatever all day there. And so that worked out pretty good. I rode one of the first horses that kind of became my go-to horse that I rode was actually a stud.
Really?
Yeah, his name was Junior, and he was so well behaved. His only thing was when he like we were trail riding, if we had a mare and we just wouldn't put him right back by each other, and then she just taught me to like really get after him if he even like started nickering or something. So I just had to get a little aggressive with him and like kind of learn how to get a hold of a horse. But he always if you nipped in the butt, he was fine. But he was young too, like 4 or 5, or maybe like I don't think he was young, like 4 or 5. But he was so well mannered. Like I wanted Junior. I wanted to buy him. He was my bestie. Yeah. He was a cute little bay paint, but he was pretty like solid bodied, but then had like, I think if I remember, he had like white on his legs, and then he had white like by his tail, so he had a tricolored tail and he had like tricolored mane. I couldn't even probably pick him out of a crowd. I mean, he probably is still up there, but yeah, I was obsessed with Junior. And then she got a horse in named Lady, who was like a chestnut paint mare. Loved Lady. We wanted to buy Lady, and then that didn't work out. The lady thought that I'd outgrow her really fast because Lady didn't really love to run. She'd run for me because she loved me, but she was pretty lazy. We were at this auction, and I had pre-looked at horses before we went because we went with the idea of possibly buying a horse since like we couldn't buy Lady. And I tried all these horses that would have been awesome fits, and they all went way above what we had, which by the way, I had like $500 saved from the time I was like little. You remember those big Crayola crayon coin things? So it was all the money I had saved over there from the time I was like little to like the time I would have been going into 6th grade. I don't know how old that is, like 11, 12?
It would be like 11, 12.
Yeah, it was that summer before I went into 6th grade. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Either that, I want to say it was that, yeah, I want to say it was between 5th and 6th grade. Anyway, I think I had started riding around 2nd grade or 1st grade, somewhere around there. Anyway, I'd been riding for a few years, and my parents were like, this isn't just like a phase, so like let's whatever. So we go to this auction. All the horses that I my $500 went way above what thousands, which honestly now I think they only went for like a couple grand, which is probably a steal for like a kid safe horse. But this was like
back when kids safe horses
15 years ago or something like that. Yeah, a long time ago. So I remember a couple babies went through, and I thought my dad, looking back now, I kind of wish it would have went this way, but then a few babies go through, and he was like, well, we can get you a baby and you can like learn with it. But I thought he was kidding. And I wish I would have done that because it probably would have been way better. But anyway, we waited for this Haflinger mare to go through. I don't know if it's Haflinger or Haflinger. I've heard both ways. But which is basically, they look like small Belgian horses.
Yep.
And she was like in our budget, and they were riding her around like fine. And we paid, I don't even know if they're right. I think they were riding her around, but she was like spooky or I don't remember. And I bought her for my $500, and there was meat buyers trying to buy her too, because like whatever, like for $500 for how fat and stocky she was, it actually would be worth it. But they were ignoring the meat buyers because they saw it was like a little girl trying to buy her. It was Lassa's Paints and Quarter Horses.
Okay.
Where this auction was going on. So I could have bought one of their pretty little babies, like a weanling. But I ended up buying this halflinger, which I'm really interested in because I'm pretty sure it was Noah Lassa that was the one who was like, he got Ruby in, is what it was, this halflinger. And she was like kind of abused, and like he put a lot of time into her to get her to be like kind of Green Book, but nothing that a kid should have, nothing that like I should have had.
Yeah.
And so I think he was happy to see she didn't go to slaughter. But at the same time, like, I should have had her. They ended up hauling her to us. We boarded her up at the Highway 45 riding stables for a while, and yeah, Ruby was fucking nuts. But it wasn't her fault. Like, someone, I don't know if I know the full story. Also, if you're a Lhasa and you know more about Ruby the crazy halflinger, please let us know, because I actually be really curious. Also, I know who owns her now, so if you want updates on her, she is spoiled rotten. But Ruby, like, we had to like have her live with a halter and a short catch lead on because she was really hard to catch. And if she didn't want to be caught, she would spin her butt at you and like try to kick at you.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I ended up just giving up on her. I told Dad, I was like, I'm not dealing with her. She's dangerous. I was pretty daring, but I was like, I know an horse is dangerous and I'm not gonna get hurt. My dad spent a lot of time trying to like get her to be like good enough where I could ride her, like safe enough where he could like get a hold of her. He would go out there with apples because she would like froth at the mouth over apples. Like, seriously, would like go, it was like crack to her.
Oh my.
So she'd eat these apples, and so he would try to bribe her with apples to catch her, to like gain her trust. Also, her one side, her right side, had all these like scars on it, and she was really scared on the right side. There's something about, like, she got the crap beat out. I don't know. I'm not trying to like diss Amish, but there was something about like the guy who had her was Amish, and he just like beat the crap out of her, and it was like the right side that had all these issues. So she had so many issues. Should not have had her. Like, nightmare fuel. And my dad was like trying to catch her and all this stuff, and so he'd go out there with like a little bag. I don't know how this horse didn't die on us. He'd go out there with like a bag of apples to bribe her, and if she'd turn her butt to him to go kick, he'd whip an apple at her butt. And then she didn't like it, so then she'd run off, but then she would get the idea. Like, he'd be like, no, you're not going to spin your butt to me. Crack her on the butt with an apple, and then if you do come to me, you can eat the apple. So it did work. And I mean, and I still keep that theory in my head, because sometimes Chewy likes to play hard to get, and I'm like, you're not Ruby. Like, you could not work me up because I had Ruby. That was my first horse. Like, nothing can get worse as that horse was. So yeah, then we got her riding. I think before we even really got her riding, my aunt knows someone who owns quarter horses, like Paints and Quarter Horses. Well, I think they were stock paint horses, so basically quarter horses that would have, or basically paint horses that have no color, really, over in Bondwell area. And they gave us this horse named Snicker. Well, I named him Snickers, which is really funny because I found out that his dad was named Snickers afterwards, like a year later or something, when we ran into her. Yeah. Because like, I think she was pregnant, and then she also had mares that were pregnant, and she was like, he's losing weight because the only place he can go out during the day is with this one older mare, and she like will not let him eat. Like, she thinks it's fun to like go, even if we spread piles out, and like chase him off. So he was like really thin. She's like, I don't have anywhere to put him to like, it's not like she was abusing him, but she was like, there was nowhere else she could put him safely. And she's like, the only reason he was kind of gaining weight is because I was stalling him at night. And I don't have a stall for him pretty soon because I have like mares that are due to foal like next spring. So she ended up hauling him to me, like literally gave him to me for free. He had papers. I don't know, his mom was like inclusive. I don't know. It was like show horse papers. But I was really excited because I started kind of thinking, oh, I want to do 4-H and like whatever, and show and 4-H. And then it was actually really sad. So Snickers was like a literal puppy dog personality. Me and the daughter at the facility would slide down the hill or sled down the hill, and his pasture was like this, and the hill was here, like whatever, he would start here because I was as close as he could get to the top of the hill. And when we'd slide down the hill, he'd run with us.
Oh.
And before we'd get to the bottom, he'd come around where we'd ultimately run into like the fence there, which I think it was like the fence there, if I remember, being like more of like a cow panel, so it would stop us.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, but yeah, and he would run and he would like rear and play like he thought it was so much fun.
Oh.
So, and he was like, I want to say like 2 going on 3. Well, then he was just so easy to handle, like so good-minded, like the perfect, if you were going to have a baby, perfect first baby. He was so easy to handle, like puppy dog personality. He was a little chestnut. He had like a blaze, I guess you would consider it, but it looked like a big nail. Like it was really like almost went out to his eyes and then just like pointed down.
Oh, really?
There's a picture I can find of me. I put this old cruddy like Western saddle on Snickers and a cruddy old Western pad and like a old bridle and bit, and it was like a Western pleasure bit, so it was like mullen port, big shank.
Yeah.
For the first time I ever put a bit in his mouth. I didn't know what I was doing. That was just stuff that they handed me, and I did it. I didn't ride him. I was just walking him around to get him used to it. He did not care. I cannot even fathom like putting this big old honky, like literally like one piece bit in his mouth.
Poor guy.
And he was just like, okay, whatever you want. And then there was a few times where I had sat on him when he was tied up, when I was brushing him, laid over him, and then also sat on him, and he just did not give a FDF. And the day that I went out to go ride him for the first time, I found him dead.
What?
Yeah. He colicked.
Oh.
And he rolled up against the barn. And I don't know if he would have made it or not if he didn't roll against the barn, but he obviously had panicked rolled. And then when they panic, this is what Dr. Graper said in this situation, when they panic like that, they'll keep going the same way frantically. And so I found him like literally bloated, and I'd never seen an animal dead, and his brown eyes were blue. And I kind of like, I knew in my heart he was dead, but I also was like, no, he's not. So I was literally yelling, Snickers.
You're laughing, but that's literally, I hope you talk about that in therapy.
I got really depressed after that.
We are your child!
Yeah, I actually took time. I was in 6th grade. I actually like, I guess my parents must have realized I was depressed because my dad was doing trucking at the time and like took me on the road with him for 2 weeks. And I just remember like I didn't even care to like see all the sights, all the places we were going. I would just like lay in bed.
Baby Jay! Oh!
So that's nothing compared to the trauma that we're gonna get into.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I found him dead. It was kind of effed up too because like he had rolled so frantically that it was an old barn that he was rolling into. You know, when it gets older, sometimes the nails get loosened, like the nail heads will kind of pop out. Not the pokey end, but like the nail head.
Yeah.
But he had slammed into those so hard, like his ankles were all bloody. Not terribly, but there was blood on them because he must have been hitting those loosened nails. And obviously not just lightly, like he probably died a horrendous death, to be honest. So that was really sad. That was like a whole thing. I think I actually might still have some of his mane, which I'm thinking about. I could make something cool probably with it. But yeah, so then we just kind of focused on Ruby for a while, and we were trying to get her more like broke, and she would be doing really good. Like I would take her over jumps, and like, I mean, she probably wasn't super soft in her mouth, but like I could jump her, and like for like this draft mix thing, like I like actually would have so much fun with her, and all of a sudden a switch would flip and she'd just decide she's done, and she'd like buck and take off, and nothing could stop her. So like one time also when I was riding at this Highway 45 place, we rode like the advanced girls would ride a lot of English, and when we'd go on trail rides, if we did guided trail rides with people, we had like, okay, you went this way, and then we had like a shortcut. We'd send people around. We could still see them, and we would go over jumps ourselves.
Okay.
So we had like jumps in the woods that were like trees and stuff.
Little
We would
cross
ride,
countries.
we would ride bareback all the time and just like gallop basically through the whole thing and like bareback or in the English saddles and like jump and stuff. So I say that I was a wannabe jumper that trail rode. And so then I had an English saddle and stuff for Ruby. I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride her English, which isn't bad. Like I've seen people ride halflingers English. Actually, I think more than Western, to be honest. And I was like trying to jump her over stuff, and she'd do really good. And said he went home. Like the Bluetooth connection is
It's like a tinfoil hat.
Okay. So we're riding Ruby through the woods, and I'm riding her English. We have a lead rope. We have a halter under the lead rope. My dad's like leading me. We're at the end of a 4-horse string trail ride.
Mhm.
I can't take you serious.
Don't look at me.
The way it's like she's like hovering over the top of your head like a halo. Okay, so we're on the trail ride. We have the lead rope. My dad's leading me. We're like the 4th horse, and we're the last one. Because if you go up behind Ruby, I can't look at you, she'll get spooked or kick somebody. And she was doing really, really good. So my dad's like, I'm going to unclip the little. She'll be pale. She's like, you know, talking about my friends. He's like, sugar pill or whatever. He goes, sugar babu. You know what I'm talking about? I'm friends. That's what it felt like just happened to me. Sugar pill. Sugar babu.
Faster. Je
m'appelle.
m'appelle. Je m'appelle.
Mais poupou!
Keep talking. I'll just sit here and laugh. Okay. He goes to unclip the lead rope, and then he stops. And I'm obviously just riding Ruby in an English saddle. And I'm pretty sure the reins that I had were those stupid, cheap rope ones you get from Fleet Farm that are like really long, but they're like that thin. And anyway, so they're like long and like they're slick. He has this idea to just wrap the lead rope around her neck, so if she does spook, he can just grab the lead rope.
Stop fucking looking at me.
Don't
look at me.
Ruby spooked. I vaguely remember her bucking as well, which it like tossed me in front of the English saddle, so I was literally on her like neck and like her neck shoulders. And then all of a sudden she just bolts. She like basically runs my dad over, from what I remember, bolts, takes off running, and the lead rope is now loose and it's smacking her in between her legs as she's running. And I'm thinking, literal nightmare fuel. We would basically run people over, 3 freaking horses and riders, because she just blew right through them. My rein, when she bucked, somehow got caught under, I think it was her front left leg. So every time she ran, her head would bob. And I'm on her neck. I don't have stirrups. I'm in front of my English saddle. I don't really have reins. I'm just there. And she's, I don't know, the horse probably ran like a quarter mile or something. I don't know. My dad must have been so scared. But anyway, I'm starting to slide off this way. And I'm like, I see this big, big tree coming on the left side of the trail. And I'm like, I have 2 options. Either this tree's almost gonna be whack-a-mole on my head. I did have a helmet on. Safety first, kids. I'm sure it was like a pink and purple helmet too that I had at the time. Anyway, I'm sliding to the left, and I'm like, I have 2 options. I can either, the tree's gonna take me out, or I can try to grab the tree. So I grab the tree, bear hug it, I spin, fall in front of her, and she slammed on the brakes, reared up in all one motion, spun around, ran straight back to my dad. And I'm just laying on the ground. I was actually okay. I mean, I'm sure I was pretty bruised up, but like, I'm pretty sure I rode horses when we got back. I just didn't ride her.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. So that was just one of the crazy stories. But I remember being glad I had a helmet on. And I don't know if anyone actually saw me fall like I did, but I remember it so vividly. I remember just looking up and seeing her like
hooves right in
and
your
she
face.
had big old hooves. So that was one of the Ruby stories. While we have helmets on, I'll tell another one that needs a helmet. I was riding at Tammy Kowalski's. I had Ruby there. We had a huge group lesson. Erica Spencer, Gabby Spencer. This is when Gabby used to like ride one of the little ponies there. I think it was Blue or Boomer. And my friend Susan and Paige were there, and like a couple other girls. It was probably close to 10 kids that Tammy was giving us lessons to. And at this point, I'd been riding Tammy's horses, like Sadie and some other ones, and like learning to barrel race. And so I actually had started doing it with Ruby, but then Ruby still, like, you could be making all this progress with her, and then she would just go effing nuts. And there was nothing you could do. She would start off, so like for this instance, it would kind of show like what she did, but so she got spooked or something. She takes off, she bolts. One full lap was her bolting, then it turned into like bucking as she ran. And then her bucking then turned, but when she had bolted, I don't know how Gabby didn't die, because she literally, like, I just remember her completely plowing into the pony, which she was scared of the ponies too. So like, I don't know what that was about. And I just remember keep thinking like she was gonna like try to jump the fence, because there were so many times that she would jump the fence. I don't know if she ever did at Tammy's, but when we had her in an electric fence at my cousin's for a while, she would literally like not even run up to the fence. She would just stand there, roll back on her like hocks, and just like leap over. Yeah, she was
Athletic little psycho.
half demonic, I'm pretty sure. We were at Tammy's. She's running. She runs everyone over. I can't do anything. Tammy can't do anything. Then she starts bucking. Then her bucking turns into full-blown rodeo broncs, like to the left, to the right, and not like the song, but like full-blown rodeo broncs. And I wrote it out here. I wrote it out there. I wrote it out here. And I was starting to look for a place in the ground, because the harder she'd buck, the slower her forward motion was. I'm like, it'll be safer for me to bail, because I wasn't going to do it while she was running full speed.
Yeah.
Even into the deep sand, like, nope, I was going to wait till she started bucking, because I knew she would. So she went left, right. I'm looking for a place on the ground, and I had planned to go right, but when she went left, I just kept going left again, the fourth jump, and she went right. So we just went, and then I remember I flew through the air. I remember Tammy's husband, who's passed away now, but Gene, I don't know if it's Hubner, I might be saying that wrong. They had done a lot of racehorse stuff together, so he's seen a lot. I remember he told me afterwards, he was like, you literally got like launched to the air. He said you tucked perfectly like this. Also at the time, this is when we would ride all day long, and Ruby was like the last horse I rode that day. And I was literally in a tank top and basketball shorts because it was hot, and I just didn't care. I'm in the air, I tuck. I remember like vividly, I was like this. I remember I opened my eyes and I was upside down, and I remember seeing her hoof like, I don't know, maybe this far away from my face, like as she was changing her lead. She was always really good about not running me over, which was great, because there's so many times she should have ran me over. Like if she wouldn't have been aware of where I was and like really trying not to run me over, I would have been run over so many times. She did this stuff so many times. I don't even know. Like I couldn't even count. But these were just like my two biggest memories from her. The worst ones. So I remember seeing her hoof and thinking, "Oh, that's the end of me." And then I closed my eyes again, and I remember like I opened my eyes and I was hands and knees in the sand, and I just got up and I was like, "What the heck happened?" But I guess I just like she launched me and I tucked and did a perfect like flip somersault in the air a couple times, and then landed hands and knees in the sand, and the only thing that was hurt was just I had like road rash from the sand from my knees and my hands. And it was so bad that Tammy, who's been around horses longer than I've been alive, literally was like, no, you don't need to get back on. I'm like, yeah, I do have to get back on, because otherwise she wins. I was scared shitless, but I'm like, I can't, like that was really bad, so it'll be even worse if I do it again. Like it's either I get her on now or I never get on her again. And I go get on her, but the problem was because she was so abused before us, even at this point we had her for a few years. When you'd go to get on, she was waiting to just get the shit beat out of her. Even though we never did anything like that, she was just so traumatized from it happening so young, I think. And so she was just like this. And the thing was, when she was jumping like that, I could ride her around. I just had to I could get a hold of her and control her. She wouldn't bolt anymore. But the thing was, is when I went to go get off, I had to like jump off, because if I just took my right stirrup out, at that point, by the time that right stirrup kind of maybe hits her side, and I'm like half up, half down on my left side, she would feel that bump and take off because she was scared. So I'd have to like kick it out and jump and push myself like away from her so that she wouldn't, because then she'd jump, but at least I wasn't like in the zone of like,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't get drugged because that was my biggest fear. And then after that time, I think I told my dad like I'm not doing anything with her anymore, and it took all summer of her getting fat. And I was like, you're paying board on her. I don't want her. She's gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Or somebody else. Even Tammy, like, also she had issues, and we've figured it out. But even with vets like cleaning her ears, she would get like these big things in her ears, and it was basically allergic reaction to like the little black flies. And so because of that, when we put her in cross ties to put her bridle on, she would try to like slam you into the wall because she wouldn't want her ears touched so bad. We had a vet clean them, and we put medicine on them and stuff, and she got a little better, but still it was just such a bad habit. She was just such an asshole that even Tammy Kowalski, who has like been around horses how long, like race horses, was like, I just think that maybe you should get rid of this horse. So I ended up giving her to a rescue. That was my first horse. And she literally, like, people think I'm kidding, but she literally tried to kill me all the time. So that set me up for me wanting to have more problem horses, I guess. Yeah, so we went from her, Snickers, and then somewhere in there, I also got little Garnet, who is actually at Wisconsin State Finals right now. Yeah. Really? I know. She's my little $25 mutt horse.
Was she there last year?
I don't think so. No. She's just like 3D, 4D. I don't know. She's been hitting 2D in the youth, 1D, 2D in the youth, I'm pretty sure, at Marissa's lately.
Really?
They've been doing cryotherapy with her. And Garnet, literally, I got her out of like, I had a friend at the time whose parents were getting divorced, and the mom had the horses and the dad had the land, and like she wasn't getting rid of the horses fast enough, and he was just like sending horses out to slaughter because he just didn't care. It was literal backyard breeding. Yeah, so like her dad was a Mustang, and her mom was like either an Appaloosa appendix cross or like a POA appendix cross, something like that.
Something goofy.
So when I say she was my $25 mutt horse, she was. But I guess that's kind of a lie because I paid $25. They wanted $75 for her. She was like skin and bones and like crazy wild. Like it had never been haltered, so we had to basically like corner. It was like 3 grown men were like cornering. It was. She should have just been ran onto the trailer, is what she should have been. But 3 grown men basically tried to like wrestle an 8-month-old baby that looked like a 4-month-old baby. And instead of $75, I had an old, I think it was a Nintendo DS, an old one, like the thick, bulky ones, not the cute, slim ones. No, like the original Nintendo DS that I had bought from Mojo's in Town, which is like a resale electronics store, and a bunch of games like Nintendo Dogs and stuff like that. And since it was like my friend's parents or whatever with this situation with the horses, the brother had seen me play it all the time, and I brought it with me because I knew it was up in Lily that I got her, and so I knew it was going to be like an hour drive, and I was going to be bored, so I was going to play Nintendo on the way, and I had it with me, and he came up to me and he was like, what if I tell my dad that we do $25 and then Nintendo? And I said, here you fucking go. And so, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Skylar Jacoby that did that. And the dad was like, sure, fine, whatever. And yeah, and then it was kind of a situation getting on the trailer. The dad was super impatient, and Garnet had like, she wasn't even halter broken. So we're trying to lead her on the trailer, and none of us know what we're doing. And the dad's like trying to push her on the trailer where she plants her feet. Well, the bumper on the trailer must have like fallen off. I don't even know whose trailer we were using. And we were pulling it. You're going to laugh. We were pulling the stock trailer with my dad's Nitro. I'm going to put a picture up of a Nitro, but it's basically like, I'm going to show you. We should not have been pulling a horse trailer with that thing. I'm pretty sure it was the Nitro.
Oh my gosh.
This was the same color that it was.
Stop. Why?
Yeah. It's literally like Great Value Jeep.
Literally.
That was the same color it was. It was like burnt orange, red color. Anyway, we were playing with the Nitro. And I think we ended up bringing Garnet's sister home too, because the people we were keeping horses at the time wanted her half sister as well. Someone ended up bringing the stud too, the dad, at some point, and gelding him. I actually rode him a couple times.
Really?
He also was a little crazy though. He loved me, but the one lady we were boarding, literally we found out later, was like practicing witchcraft, and he hated her. And I think that he was just really in tune to like that stuff. And he would charge her, teeth bared. But I could do whatever with him as like a 9-year-old, 10-year-old.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. And he was like Mustang and whatever. He wasn't Mustang off the range though. His parents were Mustangs, so he didn't have
So he was
the
automatically
brand, but he was like, his parents were both off the range.
Okay.
So like full blown mutt.
Literally.
No brand to show it. So literal backyard breeder situation. But anyway, so when Garnet planted her legs, the dad was super impatient, and this horse wasn't halter broke. Like I said, we should just ran her onto the trailer. None of us knew what we were doing, and the dad was super impatient. So he's pushing Garnet's butt. Well, her legs slid. She ended up cutting her leg. Not bad, but a little cut. And like still to this day, if she hasn't, like I've talked to people who have her now, if she hasn't been hauled for a while, she has so much anxiety to go in a trailer that, yeah. I mean, you just have to know that if you're hauling all the time, it's fine. It's also the more people that get around, the more anxious she gets, but that's also because I think it goes back to that literal trauma that she had when she was a baby. So anyway, then we had Garnet, and Garnet, I'm trying to teach you, this is a really funny story too. We almost need a helmet for this one, but I'm not putting it back on. I'm trying to teach her how to like lead, and I'm in the pasture. I catch her. She takes off at a dead like run. Well, I guess it wasn't a dead run. I'm leading her in the pasture, and she starts trying to take off. I like elbow up so I could keep her from running me over. I kind of like into her shoulder blade area and have my hand up by her face. And so I was like this, and she takes off, and basically she was running, and my dad's like, let go, and I'm like, no, because I'm gonna win. And my legs were basically not on the ground. Like I was like kidding a step every once in a while, but basically she was just like dragging me across the pasture, but I was like running, but like barely on the ground. Like so
she's a runner, she's a track star.
Yeah. And then eventually got her leading, and then that turned in when she was around like a year old. I was trying to like lunge her, and she would just get mad and charge me like her dad would. But like you couldn't stop. I've never had a horse do this before where they just like full blown charge you and they don't just they don't stop last minute. She would run you over.
They're not bluffing.
Yeah, no, she wasn't bluffing. So then we went through a phase like that, and I would like walk her on trail rides, and she decided she didn't want to be by me anymore. And I remember a couple times she charged me, and I have to hide behind a tree because she wasn't bluffing. She'd run me over. And I remember telling my dad, we need to get rid of her. Like she's mean. Like, why do I keep getting these mean horses? And the good ones die, and the bad ones are trying to kill me all the time. And he goes, no, we need to keep her. And I was like, no, we need to sell her. And all of a sudden, switched one day, and she just became like this puppy dog. She wanted nothing to do with me. And then all of a sudden, she was my best friend, and I did everything with her. I broke her out by myself. I broke her out mostly bareback or English with a Tom Thumb bit.
No.
Yes.
How gnarly are you?
Oh, Cleo! Oh, Garnet turned into like a really good horse. Ended up breaking her out with an English saddle, a pink English saddle pad, and a Western, like one of those cheap Weaver bridles with split reins that I tied in a knot, and a Tom Thumb bit.
The classic.
That's what I broke her out in. To this day, she's one of the nicest horses, though. Like, she literally is. Like,
yeah.
But I didn't know what I was doing, but I just did it all the time. So, like, she didn't have a choice. There's this, comes to a point where, like, yes, equipment is, like, will help you a ton. And I wasn't, like, pulling enough for, like, I wasn't ever making her mouth bleed or anything like that, you know. But
yeah,
my job would have been easier if I would have had better equipment.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have looked so wild. But I just put in the hours. And so at some point, even if you're doing a million things wrong, the horse is just going to get safe.
Right.
So that's basically what happened. And I would jump her every chance I would get. I remember I'm calling myself out. If you go on my Facebook, there's like pictures of me jumping her in the winter over like fallen trees and stuff. And I did like Pick Monkey edits on it.
Oh.
With like the pictures and
throwback.
Like wording.
Yeah.
And I put riding is freedom. Well, the picture is me jumping this fallen tree in the snow. With my Tom Thumb bit, and my Western bridle, my tied split reins, and my English saddle.
Oh my God.
And I had a zebra headband on. And I didn't even have real boots. I had
snow boots.
Yeah.
We're gonna find it.
I'm so scared. I hate it so much. So That's why when I've had people, like when I was running Dinah and I finally had like a living quarters trailer, I had a couple people come up to me and they're like, wouldn't that be nice? I was like, what? You don't even know what I started with. Like, I shouldn't even be alive with what I started with. So anyway, I was riding her all the time. Then we had moved the horses to Tammy's. And at this point, Garnet was riding really good, which is why when Ruby was like, I was really just like, even Tammy feels like she's a lost cause at this point.
Mm-hmm.
For someone like me and what I wanted to do anyway. I just was really focusing on Garnet. Like, I would literally go out into Tammy's biggest pen where Garnet was, which is where Tammy has like there's like a pond in there. And Garnet she doesn't know how to lay down anymore, but she'll still bow. But I had taught her to bow and I taught her to lay down. And would go out there, no halter, no lead rope, no nothing. I would make her lay down so I could get on. She'd get up and we'd run full bore, but I had all control of her.
Mm-hmm.
Back up to the gate. And like it's like the size of the pasture was like 4 times the size of all my pasture together. So it was pretty big. Run all the way up and I could stop her. I could do everything like with her mane and my seat and my legs. Mm-hmm. I would open this gate, which was a really janky at the time, like wooden gate that like you had to like hold the gate up so that the things aligned and like wiggle it back in, like the handle. And I remember one time Tammy was riding, it was Rita, in the arena, and she was like, I wish I had a picture of that for my wall, because she has a wall where she has like all her like racehorse wins and like barrel racing wins, like the big ones, and like some special like moments. Because I'm literally on this $25 mutt horse. Also, Garnet got kicked in the rib by her sister when she was young, and has an indented left rib on her left side. And so it's just really janky stuff. She has my brand on her hip now too. Because when I got her back, the first thing I did was brand her, because I was like, if she go, and it helped me found her current owners and stuff like that, between the indented rib and that, which is great for them too, because I knew when I bought her, like, so I can verify her age and like all of that stuff, because she is just grade. So anyway, and she's a bay. She's a really pretty bay, like dark chocolatey, not chocolatey, but like mahogany. Like she gets a lot of shades to her. And really pretty mane and tail. Her only problem was, because she was so malnourished for so long, she has just a smaller chest, because I guess that just happens when they're malnourished. Because even when we had bought her, the people that we were boarding at didn't really know what they were doing, and so they had worms really, really bad. And they had guts because they were getting fed, but they just like looked like shit. And that's when we would feed, like, Sweet 16 was the grain that we feed, and that was like everything was getting Sweet 16 and like shit hay, and they all had worms, because we didn't know. We were boarding there people that we thought knew more than we did, and they think they did, but they still didn't know. So anyway, because of that, she has like a narrow chest, but she's got a big old badonk on her, and she's short backed, and she's only like 14.1 or 14.2, but she's like the perfect kids gaming horse, like truly. Even with her being a mutt, like she's still conformation wise actually is built to work to do that type of job. So I did 4-H with her, and I remember I'm pretty sure I started running her as like a 3 or 4 year old at 4-H, because Ruby wasn't gonna happen, and that's really all I had. And first 2 summers I ran her, I won high points everywhere I went.
Really?
Yeah, she was badass. But it's all I had, you know?
Yeah, so you made it work.
So, and I rode her all the time. And so, like, we also had just, like, a really deep connection, so we were so in tune to each other. I'm not saying all of our runs were super pretty. There's things I would change now, but, like, I made it work. And somewhere in that point, I had gotten a trailer and paid $200 or $300 for it, and it was just a straight load bumper pull with not even a walk-in tack room, but like the tack room that's underneath the mangers. And that door would always pop open, so my dad had put a new latch on there so that the door would pop open, because it had popped open before, and if you go down the highway, like, stuff will just fly out. And the window, it was literally maroon, and then the roof was fiberglass. It was yellow fiberglass with green windows.
Wow.
My dad changed the plexiglass windows out to clear so we could see the horses a little bit at least. And we named her Ketchup and Mustard.
That's fantastic.
And that thing, I hauled all the way to Thorpe with that sucker to go to fun shows. I'd haul it to Chisholm's all the time. Like, that's what I had. At this point, we had upgraded from the Nitro to a truck.
Well, that's good.
So we had a little 1500, but it worked, and I would haul all over the place. And at this point, I think this leads me up to like 15, 16. And I'm starting to try to get into NBHA stuff. And then I had bought Lindy, High Brown Lindy, who she's probably at Wisconsin State at NBHA2 right now.
Yeah.
I bought her from the Hestatoons. They had her, and she was not out of their stud, but a full brother to their stud.
Okay.
And I bought her just like Green Broke. They had rode her around and like, but mostly from what I gathered. Also, if you are a Hestatoon and you know more than what I'm talking about, you can correct me and I will correct it. But from what I remember, she was like more kind of followed a lot of horses, so she was fine with you being on there, but she was so buddy sour. If you took her away, she would like rear and like freak out and panic and all this stuff. And so I remember when I first started riding her, I would ride her at Tammy's, and then I realized what her issue was, and so then I would ride her. I'd get on her right outside the barn and ride her to the arena through the gate, because I'm like, this is what her issue is going away from all these other horses, and she'll rear and throw a fit. And not Ruby, Tammy literally said that horse was going to kill me because she would throw such a fit. And I'm like, no, because in my head, unless it was Ruby, because Ruby you had no control of. I tried everything. I tried yelling at her. I tried sweet talking her. I tried pulling her head around. You couldn't, because she was so strong that she's a giraffe horse basically.
Yeah.
And that's, so I know what it feels like to be completely out of control. And I knew that with Lindy, I could still kind of control her feet and stuff. So I'm like, I don't love it. I'm cautious, but like, I never felt like she was going to kill me. And Tammy's like, that horse is going to kill you. And then that horse turned into a good horse. I had her, she'd run really good poles. Donna's also really good at poles too. She'd run really good poles. I did all the stuff with her. She's really good at flag. And
what color was this one?
This one was a red dun.
Okay.
She's pretty. She has such a pretty head too, like just a quarter horse head, but like dainty, so cute. And then I was getting more into NBHA, and she just like wouldn't fire. And looking back now, and I don't know if I told our current owners this, but I had a revelation in the past like year or two that I think that maybe she needed Lasix or something. But it was weird because she would run hard during pulls, but not barrels. Like her turns were perfect. It was like she'd only clock 3D, 4D because she just. And I would breeze this horse. She could run decently fast. Like in a small pen, she should have been like 1D, 2D local. But like she just wouldn't run.
Yeah.
And so I almost wonder if there was something wrong physically and I just didn't know. But the girl who has her now loves her to death and probably will keep her till the day she dies. And she was highbrow, hickory, and freckles playboy or something like that. Okay. Cow. A little story I didn't tell that I'm going to pop in is when I got highbrow Lindy, aka Lindy was a really dark red dun mare, all cowbred. I think freckles playboy and highbrow hickory was her grandsire on the top side, something like that. I don't know. Cow. She was cow. And I was still kind of doing fun shows here and there, and we went to an overnight kind of fun show situation where there was like high points and stuff each day. And I remember day one, I did flag race with her, which was like our jam. One of her best events was flag. Like she never hit a barrel. She always set me up really well to grab the flag and stick it. And we could kind of just send it. And the flags, they were really thin, like super, super, like normally they're like wooden dowel type situations. But it was like this thin, like almost PVC pipe plasticky flag situation. And so when I went to grab it, it just like literally went right through my hands because I wasn't expecting it to be so thin and slippery, I guess. So I just didn't grab it. So day two, I remember that I was like, I'm not even going to sign up for flag because I'm kind of tired and I don't really want to do flag because I don't feel like doing it. Whatever. Yesterday wasn't good. I don't feel like doing it. I was literally just there for fun and trying to get my horse exposed and whatever. And we were all kind of sitting around, hanging out, and they were literally finishing dragging for flag. Mind you, I had kept Lindy saddled at the trailer, but I would keep her cinched like loose enough where she could just chill. She's resting. My trailer back doors are open, or my tack room door was open, but it wasn't like closed back. You know how they have like the little lock so it can like lock open. It was just kind of hanging. And I heard them call my name, and I was first out in the class, and they were literally like almost done dragging. And I was like, I didn't enter the class. I was like, well, crap. By the time I go up there and tell them that, they're going to be calling me anyway. So I literally got up. I run to go get on Lindy. And I slip in a pile of horse crap. I fall. I hit my trailer door, and I bent I want to say it was my ring finger or maybe it was my middle finger, like really far back. I definitely sprained it. And when I fell and hit the ground, well, Lindy had been resting, like half asleep, resting with her foot up. She actually kicked me in the head, but she kicked me literally on the bill of my hat. So thank God I had a little bump on my head, but like not a whole lot. And I felt fine other than my finger, really. I think the bill of the hat kind of took the brunt and like this of the kick and distributed it, which it's funny because to this day, I need wood to knock on because I don't know. We're gonna pretend this is wood. I still have never been kicked by a horse, other than that one time where it was in the head and she got me in the bill of the hat. But I think that bill of the hat kind of distributed the intensity of her kicking me, which it's not like she kicked me that hard because her leg was rested and she just did like a little whatever. But still, getting kicked in the head is not something I would recommend. Anyway, it was all my fault. It was stupid. Don't come running up behind a horse. Just dumb. And I ended up having my boyfriend at the time cinch her up because that I couldn't get her cinched up with this finger because it was already swelling. And I don't even think we had time to tape my hand up. I literally just got on my horse, trotted her up to the arena, and then they were calling my name and it was just time for me to go in. And I won the class. This all happened in a matter of like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And I won the class. I literally won the class. And with a fricked up finger, and I had just got kicked in the head, I was literally covered in horse crap. I remember there was a stain. I wonder if I can find pictures. I don't know if I have pictures of that day, but I remember I had horse crap stain on my hat, horse crap stain on my shirt. Yeah, and so that was just kind of a funny story with Lindy that I felt like I had to share because it was so crazy. Just so crazy. Literally just hanging out. Didn't think I entered the class. They call my name. They're almost done dragging. I run, fall, sprain my finger, fall in horse crap, get kicked in the head, cinch her up, run up there, win the class that I couldn't even, like I DQ'd in the day before, covered in horse crap. So that was a very interesting story, and I'm sure there's a few of you out there that remember because you were there, and it was just kind of one of those things like, what the heck? Can't believe that happened, but it did. I ended up selling Garnet at one point because I think I was 18 and I needed to buy a car. And that's it for episode 2, part 2. Tune in next week for part 3.